John, how long ago were the Beesons, they were cut up there now?
Oh, it'd be 40 years easy.
The 1950s?
Uh-huh.
There's nobody cuts now,
No, just myself and another man.
and there's still a couple yet.
Uh-huh.
Say 40 years or 40 or 50 years ago, many banks would have been going up there.
Oh, I had easy in 30 going.
30 people, 30 banks.
Oh, I going to one,
There must have been some crack, yeah?
Oh, they were so great cracks. Surely. They were hardly a flood, but there were each spade going on.
And I see there's a wee fire going there. There must have been a lot of fires, or would you all use the one fire?
Oh, sometimes one fire did 2 or 3 people. They were that close to it.
But there have been 10 or a dozen fires going there.
Oh, yeah. There's all fires.
Claudy, you were telling me that you cut for many days, something like 40 or 50 days in a row, non-stop.
That's right. Well, we cut a lot to the country. The sea was in the spade, you see, and we cut to people that had no help, and we went round the countryside cutting, me and Paddy Kane, and somebody else. We had another man, the same third man. Maybe we had a picker man. You know, you wouldn't have the same 3 every year.
You'd have called yourself a contract turf cutter then, wouldn't you?
Well, we went round now. You cut to the boys, there's no help, and you went round. One man wanted 3 days cut, and another man wanted 2 days cut, and that was the way of it. And you had to start early in April, and I'll come on, you had to one time and rush, and you had to take the time. There wasn't money going about, and you had to take the time to your ready. I was cutting from April to June. Oh, on bad days you couldn't go to the house.
But these have been people, Claudy, that weren't able to cut, or them the time to cut themselves.
Men hadn't time to cut or couldn't get help, but it was hard to get a man to go to the hill, and then they went, they needed 3, and then they just went for what you call the spade. They put in the order because the 3 was together, no bar, just order on the 3 men.
You had a couple of men along with you?
I had a couple of men worked together. I had 2 men along when we went. And
you were telling me you made a fortune of money,
well, I didn't make a wide lot of money. It was only about £1 a day. I started out with £1 a day, but £1 was a lot of money that time.
Was that good wages that time?
It was good wages at that time.
You'd have worked the 6 days?
Worked the 6 days, weather providing. There were no day you had to quit with the rains.
Paddy, I suppose you'd have lit that fire there as soon as you went up in the morning.
Well, you're right there, maybe a couple of hours. You let it a wee while. I made the dinner about 12:30, and you'd light the fire about 10, and have a good glue on to boil eggs, and you let the fire well lit. You couldn't go near it with Rick, you see, for a while. Let it burn on your first, but you can unlock a turf, and then you had a good glue to boil your teapot and your eggs. And
you'd have took them turf with you then, you got to start away the first day you went.
Most days there were a lot left on the bank. There were nearly stacks about the hill, or a lot lying about. You never cleaned, or most days there were people left a stack of turf on the hill, and there was money. No, there never was money to come up. There were a lot left on the hill for that job.
You're telling me that deliberately left them there for the following year?
That's right. The people always said to never clean the bank. It's a sign you wouldn't be back here to come out. We did that. There was suspicious that way to leave a lot for next year to light the fire again. No, they wouldn't start to cut the turf on a Saturday. They said that turf, a lot of people were very superstitious, turning you back. I'm coming to start to cut your turf. I can't, no, you're not starting on Saturdays. Turf that you've cut on a Saturday was burned in a week. I'm not going to start on a Saturday.
Is that right?
That's what they would say. Some people were that superstitious, they would maybe, I've seen myself go on a cut a wee in a row on a Friday evening, and then start on Saturday. That was all right.
Yeah, that was all right.
That was all right. You would start it on the Friday, you see, and then you could go on ahead. But a lot of people wouldn't let you start on a Saturday because they said it was burned cut on a Saturday, was burned at a week. Well, the most of them were all just enough to pay me, but there an odd boy who said he hadn't the money with him, and he'd see me on Sunday, or he'd see me again. It was a white bad job too, for the craters all went blind and they didn't see you again.
From 1832 right up until the 1950s, there were 8 fairs held in Claudy annually, and the same number in Park.
When I was 13 years of age, I was hired there in Kilfennan with a man called Hugh Devine. He was a dairy farmer.
Whereabouts is that at Kilfennan?
That's the water side there in Derry.
That's right there.
Up on the other side of Alton Galvin Hospital there.
How long were you with him, Bill?
I was with him 2.5 years, £11 every time.
£11 for the half year?
The half year.
What year would that have been?
It's just a mark now to see if I could recollect that now.
You were 13 at the time.
I was 13. 22, 10, 32. I was 35.
1935. That must have been coming near the end of the fairs then.
Oh, God, not at all.
No?
No.
Don't on the war, did they?
Oh, there's still, I went up on the war years. War broke out in
39.
September 1939. The war
And people were still being hired at that time.
people were still hired at that time.
Well, tell us, what was life like working this way?
Oh, it wasn't so bad at all. Now, you had to work now. You had to have 8 cows in the morning for 8 o'clock.
I
He
think
was
you
a
had to
dairy
work.
farmer. And he was there himself. And a maid. He hadn't a very big head, for he was only after purchasing the farm land that he had. But after the second half year, I was looking for a rise of pay, and he said he couldn't afford it. So I left him then, and I went to wait a man outside the Plum Bridge they called Gerald Haggett.
Yeah. You're hired there as well?
I hired with him for 5 shillings at 6 months more.
Well, Peter, did you stand at the fair and wait for a man to come along to hire you?
You did. Well, you only would have got it. You had a wee bundle of clothes with you there, and
Right.
the new damn thing and where you're on the market for buying.
And they just made an offer for you?
Made an offer for you.
And a lot of the
Money
time,
was scarce at that time now.
a lot of the times you didn't know who you were going to.
You did not know. Unless maybe your father maybe knew something about them or could direct you somewhere.
Well, what was the food like, Peter?
It wasn't so terrible bad now. Neither the 2 houses now. I think the one in Plum Bridge was slightly better, because I'll tell you why it was. It was more of the old style. And the dairy farmer, you got 3 meals a day, and that was it.
You weren't so bad all the time if you got 3 different meals a day.
Well, you were up from 6 o'clock in the morning, and you were there maybe to 7 at night.
Long day.
It was a long day.
What did you do after you finished work?
God, I know what you done.
You were ready for lying down, I suppose.
You're ready for lying down, boy.
There was always a lot of entertainment at the Mayfair. A lot of cattle, sheep, pigs. And the Dale men came from far and near, from Dungiven, Dripperstown, Dunnamana, Park, Feeney, came from all over to buy cattle. I remember buying a bullock from my neighbour on a Monday evening at £7.10. 10 shilling note, £7 10 shilling note at that time. And I thought it was great to get up the next morning around 6 o'clock, and I walked that bullock to Claudy myself. Everybody was doing the same, there's no difference, everybody done the same thing. And that present garage that's going in Claudy at the minute, the man that owned it was Samuel Aiken, Jack Aiken's father. And he was buying bullocks at the time, and they closed the garage from 1 to 2. He lived up in Alla at the time, and they went home for their dinner, but he always walked down through the market to have a look at the cattle. And he came down round where I was standing with the bullock, and he asked me how much I wanted for the bullock. And I said I would need a tenner. He says, I'll give you the tenner for the bullock on the conditions that you walk him back up again. That was almost to beside my own house again. So I had to head off, but I thought it was great. And I was no sooner up till I got back down to Claudy again, because there was a lot of sport, a lot of crack. And there was a young fella in Claudy, he's a priest now, Father Quinn. And me and him always sit in the one desk at school in the one seat. But seeing I got on so well with the bullock, there was a lot of eating houses in Claudy. There were Mrs. Brawley's, Mrs. Brown's, Jim the Cooper's, 3 or 4 eating houses. So we thought it was always fries they made, so we thought we'd sample 2 fries. And we ate one on Mrs. Brown's, and we ate one on Mrs. Brawley's, just the 2 right after other. I think the cost of someone around about £1 each.
Well, my father dealt in the horses all day, and I used to come into Claudy for them in 1944, or no, 1940 was my first Claudy Fair. I was then about 8 years old, and my father bought a black horse on it, and I wanted to get to it home, and he said, no, it's too young, something might happen to me. But I walked, 2 hours walked the whole road to Claudy. It's old down, it was very old, and it was in a hurry home to get closing the rest of the pretties with. We're finishing up the closing up and then a wee bit of crap. And I was in a great hurry home, and things was hard, and it was a long walk up, but I got a lot of drink in Claudy, and we got my sisters at the last win of drills, British that, and we closed them, it covers them with a horse that we got in Paddy. I flung it, but he wasn't all the man said, but we got the bit of work done with him.
From about 1740 until the middle of the present century, this building, which belonged to Mullers of Millbrook, was a hive of activity. It was employing up to 100 men manufacturing animal feeds. The most recent owner of the mill and large farm was Alex Muller, born 1906, died in 1995. Before that, the owner was Alexander Muller, born 1847 and died in 1938. And before that was John Muller, born 1807, died 1870. For almost 2 centuries, the sole source of power came from the Falkland River. But in 1939, Alex purchased this giant diesel engine. This machine was so big that it actually took the power from the river to actually get it started. The 100 horsepower monster was capable of powering the whole mill, including 2 large grinders, and also supplied electricity to about 20 homes around the country. In those days, there were about 20 different mills on the Falkland River.
As far as I know, there was a Scotch mill here too, up until about 1900. My grandfather wasn't keen on flax, so he done away with the Scotch mill and put on a maize meal mill instead. In 1900 he put on a sawmill. There'd been a one storm in Lermont, 1899. The landlord Beresford, he wanted the road cleared. He sold the trees to the tenants, a penny each. My grandfather took a notion then that these trees at a penny, he could make good use of them. He put on a sawmill and started to cut boards and rafters and runners for roofs and general purpose. And she run to 1985.
She was still running off the river up to 1985.
She was, I broke a cog wheel on here, big main drive in 1985, and that was the finish. It would take about 14,000 to put on a new one. So I packed it on at that time.
This water wheel here was made by my father about 7 years ago. It was actually just before he died. He put a lot of work into it. It took him about 3 months. He set her up in Ballister and Bairns. The slightest wee dribble of water actually can through her. She goes round very simply.
James, you're sitting here in what's definitely one of the oldest bridges in this area.
That's right, John. This is called the Crooked Bridge. It was the old coach road to Belfast. It's over 200 years old.
The coaches actually went along this road.
They did, yes, that's right enough.
Your mother was saying there that it's upwards of 200 years old.
It is it's over 200 years old.
James, my longest memory of Claudy is probably 1972, being not from this area, but I remember the bombs, and I think maybe you have some memories of that yourself.
Not so many, John, but I had been fishing just here when I heard I suppose you'd call it the explosions. It must have been the Fahan carried it up, the water carried it up here.
You were actually able to hear them up here?
I was just fishing here, so I was.
How far away would you be from the village itself?
From Claudy village would be about 8 miles.
Well, during the spring of this year, I had a student with me. She was out in work experience, and her project for her BTEC was on the Claudy bombing. Sandra, you have done a BTEC Media Studies course. Could you tell me what all that entails?
It entails photography, graphics, and video, sort of the same line as work you're in yourself.
And part of your project this year was to make a video, and you chose the Claudy bombing of 26 years ago. How did you find people? I know you went around and interviewed a lot of people. How did you find them, Sandra?
I found it very emotional talking to the people that were directly involved, they lost relatives.
Well, I was in the house here, and I just heard this bang, this really, really loud bang, and I ran down. I knew that Artie and Michelle was in Claudy. I knew they both had gone down, and I ran down the street and I got as far as Aiken's garage, and someone held me back and said that Artie was hurt, but they knew that Michelle was okay. So somebody came up and handed me Michelle, and then we went into Miney McLean's house, and we were in there about 10 or 15 minutes when they said there was another bomb, and we were put out the back of Miney McLean's house, and I was just in the cow market when the bomb went off in the hotel. So that's what happened that morning.
And the third bomb, it didn't go off?
The third bomb went off at the post office. But at that stage, I must have been in the cow market when the third bomb went off too, because we just got to the cow market when the bomb went off in the hotel, and everybody just froze. So we just sort of stayed there, for a while then, until then I sort of came up the back way then to come up home, because Paul was still in the house. He was only 6 years old, so he had stayed here when I ran down.
And your husband was injured?
I knew he was injured, but they wouldn't let me down to see him. And then I knew then that he had gone to hospital, so it wasn't until I went on after that I realised how serious it was.
Did he ever regain consciousness?
No, I didn't, no. Never regained consciousness. Well, my husband was 38 when he was killed. He had lived in Claudy all his life. He was interested in music. He was very much outgoing person. He worked for the Refuge Insurance Company at that time and was doing very well and was getting promotion and was looking forward to a very bright future, but it was all taken away.
And in no time we heard the bang. Of course, everybody rushed up the street. And I can remember Mrs. Miller attending Artie Hone, and the McLaughlins were going crazy about their mum. They were squealing, come and help my mother. She was lying and the blood all poured over her face. And then someone realised that there was the van outside the post office, there's 2 more bombs in it. So, everybody naturally rushed down the street, and we're heading down to our place. Never thought that there was one outside our place or one outside the post office. But I can remember Dr. Deacon, he was rushing down with Catherine Aiken, and we were kind of out in the middle of the road when the other one just went off. And all I can remember is you felt your stomach was being sucked in and then out again.
But when the bomb went off at our place, I was lifted clean off my feet and taken up a street about 20 yards. And just as I was landing, the other bomb went off up on the main street, the second bomb on the main street. And I says, oh my God, where am I going to go now?
But and one thing I do always remember that night, it rained really heavy because we had to get covers and all to cover the roof of the hotel, and people just said, right, that was God sending the rain to wash the blood off the streets. And then the next week after, you just spent your time going to funerals, one going to attend the other funeral. Like there was no, everybody just got so close with that, at that time, one sympathising with the other.
6 people were killed instantly by the bombing. 30 were injured, with 3 of them dying over the coming days. Among the victims was 8-year-old Catherine Aiken, who was cleaning the windows of her father's shop at the time. 15-year-old Patrick Connolly, 17-year-old William Temple were the youngest of the victims.
In spite of the bombings in Claudy, community relations have always been very good, and through this, a community development group was set up in 1993.
The Rural Development Group organised a memorial service on Sunday the 3rd of August 1997 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Claudy bombing. All sides of the community were represented. It was an opportunity for people to talk to each other and remember the tragic events of that day. The vast number of people who attended felt it was a fitting tribute to the victims and their families.
This year, 1998, we got together with Claudy and District Vintage Club to hold the Claudy May Fair. We intended it to be a family day out, and we asked all the shops in the village to dress up and to do up their windows. And we were delighted with the support from the traders and from the community.
Shop windows very well done up, and we have the owner of the shop here, Ginny, in front of us. Ginny, do you want to tell us a wee bit about how you got these
very valuable old, I
Just
think.
the neighbours round about gathered up bits and pieces for me.
People just left them to you.
Just left them to me for the day.
I see you have a carabine lamp there.
Uh-huh.
With a sort of a form of lighting maybe during the war years.
That's right. I think it was they used it for putting on bicycles or something.
That's right. Bicycles and motorbikes.
Aye.
Right, Charlie Kelly here standing in front of a big red Nuffield. I don't know much about these, Charlie, but you know about it and you're going to tell me about it.
Right. So Nuffield 465. I bought her up Dawson Scott about 5 years ago. And I use her for firemen.
You use her every day?
Aye.
Big heavy machine?
Aye. I think it's in 1967 I didn't get the textbook. But also the big strong tractor and she's very fast in the road and she can lift the round bales, the big heavy bales.
Going well.
Oh, aye.
Is that a chap of yours beside you here?
That's the young boy.
What do you call him?
Kevin.
You drive, Kevin?
Oh, Kevin can drive her better than me.
Right, we're still be heading out in the Valley's Run Boy, so I'll get a picture along the road and maybe a wee chat later on. Thanks very much.
Good luck.
After the very successful vintage rally, the next main event was the Bonny Baby contest, which was held in the Marquee. There were numerous entries for each of the 3 categories. The judges had great difficulty in deciding the winners. Sponsorship came from a number of local traders. The event proved very popular with parents and children alike.
Wild thing, I think I love you, but I wanna know for sure. So come on and hold me tight. I love you. Wild thing, you make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild thing. Wild thing, I think you move me, but I wanna know for sure. So come on and hold me tight. You move me. Wild thing, you make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild thing.
We're outside now, and it's maybe a wee bit less noise out here. And we have the winner here, and she's the winner because she's the best smiler in Claudy. Turn around there, Caitlin, you see. Aye, look at that there, you see a monkey jumping up. That's again, that's nice there. Now, there's the winner. Caitlin McGilligan.
McGillian.
McGillian. Lovely girl. And congratulations. What did you get for that? About £1,000?
I run about that, I know.
That's right. Good day's work.
It was a good prize, surely.
There's young Declan here, he was second.
Declan O'Hara.
Declan O'Hara. From the town here too.
Yes.
Done well. There's a big envelope here if you can drop, if you can drop tonight.
Well, if Mammy will.
Yeah, Mammy not letting you, thanks. Thanks very much, girls.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations. There we have it now, folks. This is officially the two best looking women in Claudy. And the ladies are not bad looking.
Joint second.
Joint second. The judge must have drunk.
Where's me, Ma?
Get over here. Right over here. Bring them all over. You must be right, right?
Oh, wild pride, wild. I knew she would do it. I knew she was so good today.
I was saying the judges must have drunk. Okay, guys, thanks very much. Oh, you give me the prize. Go ahead.
You're number one, are you? First, that's your prize. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And here, you have to spend that money in the baby. You're not allowed to spend it yourself. Thank you. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Take her up. What is this lady here now?
Rosemary, he and the chairperson.
Big up, Rose.
And you can come.
On my way, I'm going to stay on my head.
Are you?
This is a playground apparat. Where's that one here?
This is another.
This is the only one of the girls in the playground, and that's the corner.
Leave them to back to the money, maybe.
This is Niall. Niall took me good as well. Hello, Niall. Hello.
Well, I think the amount of wind you had on there, Gertie, there's nobody can fly to the playground. Huh?
Oh, don't let me anymore, that's right.
You want to say something?
You listen much money. You might money left.
Brilliant, fantastic. We are.
And we can get any more with the real
Don't forget to pop out and give us a wee shout. Oh, yes, we'll take plenty.
All right, girls, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good luck with your playground.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In second place, making a corner of himself as usual, walls and corners. John! You got 16, didn't you? Yes, you did. And our winner, ladies and gentlemen,
Claudy's answer to the Spice Girl. Here she is. She is number one at this one. She got the full 20, and she had a name out solo artist. What was her name again? Anne McFall. Anne McFall. She did well. He's after you. A Q103 car. Get up here, Anne. Come on. A Q103 car figure. And a Q103 CQ Mega Blaster t-shirt. I don't think it's far between them. Our contestants, please give more a big round of applause. And cheering. Okay. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for everybody. Just before we go and hand over to Vince Martin, see things in his pocket. I want to get rid of him here. Somebody's key ring. Who wants them?
Could you turn around a wee bit? James, we're back down the car park in here, and I think they're going to charge the tractors now. And these are the men at the responsible job. I'm just coming from outside there where there were people trying to judge them body babies, and I tell you that was a handling. So maybe they're not as big a task out here. You want to introduce
This here is Stanley Simpson here.
Local man.
Money more.
Oh, you're up here, me.
Ah.
And Jarvis.
This man. Verdi Armstrong.
From?
Money more. Cookstown actually.
Money more. County Tyrone then.
Money more or Mid-Ulster Vintage Vehicle Club.
By the way, we asked these two men over from the Vintage Club to judge the show here today for us. So,
tell me, what is it you're looking for, boys?
We're looking for the best restored tractor here.
One in the best shape?
Because
There's some nice ones there.
There's some nice ones, but some of them use their own pin, their own colour on the tractor.
So you men being experts would know them things?
Well, we wouldn't claim to be experts, but we're old enough to have known them when they were.
All right, man. Good luck at the judging, and I'll see your results later on. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Right,
I'll stay on. Thank you.
Right.
Come on, girls, come on, you back right now again.
Right, here, a very popular event, very popular thing at all these events is the horse and pony driving. So, what sort of a breed of an animal would this be?
She's a crossbred cob. Her mother was a cob and her father was a cob. But
A Welsh cob?
No, just a piebald cob. She's out of a piebald mare.
So she'll be good along the road?
She's brilliant along the road, yeah.
So have you been out today?
We've been out, we've did a few drives, but I can drive her if you want.
Aye, well, how many was there?
There's 3, I think, and then there's a mare and foal on.
Will we get a wee shot of you driving somewhere again?
No problem.
All right.
No problem.
You want to introduce me to these people around you here?
Surely to goodness.
Come on, you head on up there.
Come on ahead.
Because you're unlike a lot of the people around Claudy, you're a good talker.
This is John Donaghy, and this is his horse, this piebald satter.
Local man, John.
Yes, right there from Barnard Road.
Right. What breed of an animal is this? Certainly
That's
not
Appaloosis.
Appaloosia. Where did them originate from? South America?
Either an Indian pony.
The Indian one.
Good drivers along the road too.
All good drivers. Nice and quiet. Good driver.
Right, thanks, John.
Right, this is Barney,
We'll see you Monday.
Kevin, Barney, Kevin and John.
One of these boys are about reluctant to be.
Well, I would just follow him just right.
These two boys here are more relaxed.
Definitely relaxed. That's right.
Never got your name?
I'm Eleanor.
Eleanor. Thanks for all your help, Anna.
No problem.
I'll maybe see you along the road later on.
No problem.
All right, it's 10 minutes to 11 now, and we're just starting to go around the town. And the first young lady here that I have in front of us is Wendy, and she's dressed, as you'll see the photographs in the one, she's dressed in 1912 costume. That would be around the time of the Titanic, Wendy.
Couldn't afford the ticket, so I didn't go.
You didn't get a ticket. Well, what does this day in Claudy mean to you? Is this the first big day like this you've ever had?
It isn't Claudy. It means a lot, like, you know, the village and all joining in.
And you're certainly taking part in the whole spirit of the thing.
Can't beat them, join them.
We don't have time to make me the same outfit.
Now, we hear a voice here, but we don't see the young lady. Do you want to introduce me to this one beside you here?
This is Louise.
Is she a hairdresser as well?
Yes.
So will you be playing a lot of business today, girls, or you just...
Well, we're busy enough today.
You want to go? Are you booked up today?
Booked up.
Then
Then
we're
we're
going
going to celebrate down the marquee after work. Aren't we, Randy?
What time does that start at?
9:30.
Right. Can you tell me what that is on her forehead there?
That's a scarf to keep my rollers on for
Oh,
the night down the
I'm talking about the
marquee.
black stuff.
That's her wrinkles.
Oh, wrinkles.
That's wrinkles, yeah.
Just try to make herself younger looking then. All right, guys, I know you have a busy day in front of you, and thanks very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Is this Mrs. Gormley?
No, miss.
Oh, miss. And you dressed up round about the turn of the century time.
Uh-huh.
So cigarettes on here by about a penny a packet then?
Yeah.
Well, let's have a couple of hundred. You finding it busy today?
Uh-huh.
It's a good crowd about it.
That's very good.
And you took a bit of effort to dress up and to dress up your shop. How are you selling the eggs at? What are you selling the eggs at?
About 50 pence.
50 pence each? Those are definitely not turn of the century prices. Thanks very much. Well, this lady here called Rita Donegan. She's definitely dressed up in the old time. I'll just take a wee scan down here to your seats. She'll be, she'll be around Queen Victoria time, around the turn of the century. Is that right, Rita?
That's right.
So, can you tell me what that material is made of?
I haven't a clue, really. What's it? Taffeta? What is it? Satin, sort of?
How did you manage to get that?
I got it from a family in the Bonds Glen. The name is Kennedy.
You got it from a family?
Yes.
Exactly, an original
Yes,
production?
yes.
You must say you look very well. Are you having a nice day?
Oh, lovely.
Good turnout and a good day.
Brilliant.
There, Albert, come
Brilliant.
and get Albert taken one with Albert. That's his mother's.
That's your mother?
Grandmother's.
Yes, look at
Right, so this here's the young lady that this outfit belonged to her grandmother, is that right?
this man. This man.
This man's grandmother. Maybe
I do remember when it was very tiny.
Yes.
I didn't know the detail of it, but I know it was a big black dress and top, and she had a big stool or shawl to go with it.
You certainly kept it in great shape.
She did indeed, yes. So it wasn't that she didn't go out often because she had a pony and shop and loved driving the country in it. And her robes flowing out to the wind.
That's nice. All right, yeah. You're looking well, huh? Thanks very much.
How's times? Huh? What do you want to go out there today?
No, there's no in there. Just
Oh, 60, huh? All right, so that's not so bad. What are you selling down there?
Wallpaper and paper.
All right. Is it any good?
What are you finding business brisk here in the 1800s?
Very good, very good. That's very good indeed.
What was a pound of beef been priced in your time?
Cheapest ever made it was about $1.69, and you can get that today, like at the same price today.
That's the cheapest it ever was.
Aye, but that's my time.
That'll be about 150 years ago.
Yes, that's my hair, not for any chipper.
Oh, I never remembered any chipper. That's my dash, sure.
I never remember chip bucket.
That's my dash, sure.
You're on away here on.
Aye, so I should wait. She came for a back. Yeah, Brian. Now, 1544. Oh, yeah. Race of us.
So 25 pence each. 6 chicken.
Well, a very important thing in any fair day or anywhere is people have to eat. This young fella here, he's cooking you tell me they're beef burgers.
Definitely.
And they're definitely BSE free.
Definitely, 100%.
Huh?
They come from O'Kene's meats.
O'Kane meats.
Well, O'Kane meats on the town here.
Aye.
Yep.
All right, we'll be safe enough then.
Safe enough.
Yep.
What was business like, folks?
Booming. Never stop.
Never stop.
Never stopped all day.
Our latest project is a business and community centre in the middle of the village. This business and community centre is costing £1.4 million currently, and I'm very, very glad to say we have been successful in raising £1.2 million. Now we're going to start a campaign in the village to raise £40,000 as a contribution from the village, but I feel very, very confident that the village will support us because this community project is a cross community and is very well worthy of support. We hope to start sometime, I would say, in the middle of October or November, and we hope to be finished, hopefully, in time for the millennium.
Yes, well, my owner. Simmons Mall here, David Brown. And number 24 was that? Number 24, and 20% was there. So this is a new trophy.
Yeah.
This is a memorial for Anne's father here. Memorial. See the half up for the banner over there.
Congratulations.
Well done, Jimmy.
Thank you.
This is Jay O'Neill here, number one, won the cars. Set a screwdriver. I don't think that Mercedes much need a screwdriver there, Jay. Well, you won it anyway, Jay. Good luck to you. So I hope to see you in July over here. Sean, thanks very much for
James, this major says it's going to need a bit of work done there.
She is now, John. We're going to try and we'll spend about 2 years at her now trying to get her squared up.
Oh, so you'll not be at Claudy Fair next year?
No, definitely not. No way.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Well, as I was telling you earlier about the field that the Claudy Rural Development people planned to build a new community centre, we're standing directly opposite it now. The field is owned by Desmond's Factory, who have been in the village for well over 100 years. Now we hope to purchase the field very, very shortly, and we're going to site the new community centre over here, and there's a field right here into my left. We plan to put full facilities on it, crash facilities, play school facilities, after school club, daycare for the elderly, and a full-size sports hall. We hope to start this sometime later on this year, 98, sometime in November, and hopefully we'll be finished by the end of 1999. Now all the people who invest in our project and buy loan stock, we plan to have a big party for them, hopefully on the New Year's Eve on 1999 to celebrate the millennium, and we hope it'll be a great party, and we hope one of the high spot events of the whole calendar in the village itself.
Well, I pulled out of Pittsburgh, rolling down that eastern seaboard. I got my diesel wound up and she's a-running like I never before. There's a speed zone ahead, all right, and I don't see a cop in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. I got me 10 forward gears and a Georgia overdrive. I'm taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. Well, I just passed a Jimmy in white, and I've been passing everything in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, it seems like a month since I kissed my baby goodbye. I can have a lot of women, but I'm not like some other guy. I can find one to hold me tight, but I can never make believe it's all right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, the ICC is checking on down the line. Well, I'm a little overweight and my logbook's are way behind. But nothing bothers me tonight. I can dodge all the scales all right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, my rig's a little low, but that don't mean she's slow. There's a flame from her stacking that smokes a blowing blackest coal. Oh yeah, my hometown's coming in sight. If you think I'm a happy, you're right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight.